is actually a model, and having this opportunity to come to the US to study US models and best practices in public management was very, very important to me. Belonging in the health field, getting to know, I'm into public hospital management, clinical practice, and public health. So getting to know how things are being done. What is all this thing about health insurance? In my country, we are not privileged to have a universal health care system where people use health insurance to get access to health. But for a few, very few companies, mostly the Western companies, that provide health insurance for their workers. So it was very important to gain knowledge on Medicare, on Medicaid, and of course, Obamacare. Yeah, of course. Of course. So that has been very important to me. And getting to know the Black American culture better, and then being at the Mecca, Howard University, was very important. Was really very important, very important to me, as well as my other colleagues. Getting to see how the American system looks forward in investing in us young Africans, the future leaders of tomorrow, and of course today. It's very important. It has actually inspired me to, why not go and start something about insurance? If I cannot do it for everybody, why not do it for our mothers? Why not do it for our mothers who try to do something to reduce the maternal mortality rate? With my country being ranked 10th in the world in terms of prevalence, I think there's much work that I have to do and I have to inspire others to do. So the experience has been fantastic, and I look forward to having more amazing experiences. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The yearly program, this is a very prestigious opportunity, and I highly encourage every day those of us back home who haven't gotten an opportunity to win yearly to try, but we understand America cannot bring each young fellow, each young African, each young leader for the program. But I and my fellows believe in one thing, that when we go back home, we shall pass on what we have learned. We shall share the knowledge. They were not here, but they will get to also enjoy the benefits of our presence right here. America is a model democracy. Are you working on issues on democracy and elections in Africa? There's so much that I get to learn and I get to understand from the processes, from the way things are done. We were lucky to attend a rally, a political rally. I can tell you, as a young African who does election observation, Africa receives people from across the world who come as international observers. Even though I was not sitting in that room as an election expert, but the basis of international observation is in my head, I learned so much within that moment I was there. I am truly, truly grateful, and it will really impact my work. And talking of public management, we have learned very good things on servant leadership, which is quite what we really need, because we are working for the people and for the benefits of the people in our societies. And the importance of civic engagement, it starts from the grassroots. Change begins from down there, coming upward. So this has been a very great experience. I am humbled to be here, and I'm sure we are going to keep learning much more. Thank you very much.
I interpret this program as UN foreign policy, almost in a way, and I hope I have the right to comment on this, moving towards investing in people and investing in young people and capitalizing them for them to be able to decide their own futures, as opposed to the concepts of aid and of giving handouts. It's a hand up, and I think that that's a very, very good thing and a very, very good shift. This program has allowed us to network very largely across the continents. That allows us to look forward in terms of, as future leaders, to be able to work together, to do projects together. I myself, even in terms of my project, am looking at one of my colleagues from Botswana, to be able to partner with her in doing a project which has got to do with education and the use of technology within education to expand access to quality teaching and learning. I think the program, some of them have said we've moved from learning about Black American history to leadership, ethics, etc. to a point where we've now done job shadowing. So just yesterday, I was, for instance, at the mayor's office. But we were all split up. So we were, some people who are particularly focused in education went to I think, a school or the department. Some people who are focused on public health went there. So we were all split up in our areas of knowledge, and we were able to fine-tune our learning in a way that we know that when we get back, it's actually going to impact. I think it's interesting because I want to take it back to disagree with one of the things that my colleague Mary said around the US, and we had some good discussions about the fact that you need to be 30 years old to enter Congress, and I think 25 in the Senate. I in fact think that that's arbitrary, and it's actually a way in which people are blocked out of being able to take part in the process. I think that sometimes you should actually have, and perhaps maybe I'm talking from a point as a young person in politics, you should actually be able to have young people in politics. In South Africa, some of our best legislators at a national level are 24 years old, doing jobs which, acknowledged across the political parties as doing a job far better than people 2 to 3 times their age. And so, and making a far greater impact, and I think that's important. And even just some of the issues which they would obviously, a US matter recently on same-sex marriage, which South Africa dealt with back in 1996 as an issue. But some of your biggest proponents were young people, who are not, the people who are opposing that are often more your older people who understand that this is our tradition, we do things this way. So I think that it's a good way for the US, I mean, this program is an opportunity for us to just network, but it's a good way for us to be able to take that, and once we've networked, we go and we push our own agendas back home. And I think that even if they're young, those agendas are fine and they're perfect and they're transforming. Yeah.
Thank you. Mary?
Okay. Thank you. In addition to all that my colleagues have said, for me, I think I'm having a multidisciplinary experience. I've learned a lot during these 3 weeks outside health. And I have also had an international experience. It's not the same when you read about other African countries in books. It feels different when you meet them and you experience them, you share their culture. You understand how they differently understand the same issue from you, different perspectives of discussions. So right now, I'm feeling more Pan-African than Ghanaian for me. Yes, exactly. Yes, so this is also an opportunity for me to build my capacity as a leader. I wouldn't say that I was a perfect leader, although I was seen in my region as an icon for young leadership. I think that with a few interactions we've had so far, I've been able to reflect on all the things I did in the past. Those that I saw as my strength, I'm going to build on them, and those that I saw that needed some form of renewal, I was going to work on them. But for me, more importantly, what I think I'm going to take back home is a renewal of mind and actually reorienting what we already know and believing in ourselves, because I was excited. It's my first time in the United States, and I was excited to be coming to, I would say, the most powerful nation in the world, and also where I felt that systems really work. I'm passionate about systems that are very responsive. In my country, I realized that the issue is more about political networks. We had all the policies beautifully written on paper, but when it comes to implementing it, it's a problem. Leaders are not able to take decisions. But here, I realized that if a decision has to be taken, it is taken. Whether you are related to the president or whoever, systems really work. So for me, that is one of the things I'm taking back home. And I have also realized, although I've said that the United States, for me, could be the most powerful country in the world, their systems are still not perfect.
And I'm beginning to see how blessed my country is with my experience so far. I think it is all not bad. We have some resources we can build on. So that is what I'm going to incite in my people when I get back. Believing in yourselves, thinking that you can do it. It's not all about always saying what the negative sides about yourself is, but also what the positive things are that you can build on. So for me, I'm going to wave the flag when I get back home, believing in ourselves and seeing it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And now just a couple things to tell you. If you have a question or a comment, there are microphones here in the center aisle, and then there's one off here to the side. If you'll just line up and come to the mic to ask your question, please identify yourself. We all like to know who's asking the question, and plus for the people who are online and watching. And before we do that, Representative Bass.
Well, first of all, this is just an incredible panel, so we need to give them another round of applause. You guys were amazing, and I'm going to say something that you didn't say, but because I think it's important. It's not just about you coming and learning about the United States. It's about you teaching us as well, because you have things to share that are very important for us to understand as well. Not just about Africa, but about things in general. And you're pointing out, the role of youth. If you look at social movements across time, it's always youth that are at the lead. And so I appreciate and respect that. So the reason why I wanted to just briefly make an announcement that next Thursday we're going to have another Africa Policy Breakfast. Usually we don't have them that quick, but we do have something that we want to come together and celebrate, and that is after a couple of years of fighting, we got a GOA pass, the African Growth and Opportunity Act. And not only did we get it passed and signed by the president, but we got the extension for 10 long years. And so we wanted to quickly have another Africa Policy Breakfast where we would examine what exactly got passed, what was signed by the president, and what are the implications and questions that need to be asked and raised, and then what more do we need to do. So that's going to be the topic that we're going to discuss next Thursday here at the Capitol, 8 a.m., Africa Policy Breakfast, and before you leave, we'll have an announcement that we pass out to you, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Bass. We'll start here, and we'll alternate sides. Sir?
Yes, my name is Hassan. I'm from Arise News. I'm a Ghanaian. I would say congratulations to you, all the fellows and the panelists. You've taken us through some fantastic ideas. Piggybacking on your point, Gumbi, collaborating with a fellow across the border. I mean, fine, fantastic idea. But generally, when you go back home, you know that you are the second, I think, or is it third? I stand to be corrected, of the series of fellowships. Yes, I mean, counting from last year, I think you are the second now. Where can we have a synergy? Within that critical mass and yours, can we have a synergy so that if Mr. A is collaborating with another fellow across the border in Zambia, and Mr. X is collaborating with yet another fellow across the border to Togo, where can we have a synergy, and where have you considered a possibility of collaborating with the past fellows, learning from their experiences? That's my question.
Thank you.
That's true. Okay, thank you very much, Hassan. There is, in South Africa, I'm hoping this is across with in all the different countries. They've created a platform for us where there will just be a Yali network. It's on a certain particular application where we'll be able to know what everybody is doing at any given time. So, for instance, if I want to do a project in education, I know that I'm going to do it with Tudu only because she's in my year, but I can go immediately right now, even on my phone, within that platform, to be able to see, okay, who else is doing anything else in education? It will pick him up. It will say that currently they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 things, so that you can be able to tap into that network, because they're trying to grow the network. They're trying to do the best that they can to be able to have long-lasting impact. So I might just do this now. I might, in the future, want to change and to do something else. And I might want to find people with that kind of expertise, and they're trying to say that, well, instead of going out there at times into the marketplace and finding those expertise from people and corporates and who've been there a long time, here is a young person on the continent, perhaps possibly very near to you, who's doing that, and why don't you rather partner and link with them? So I think that, in terms of the synergy, will help for us in years to come. Now, you're right, it's only been 2 years, so I think that it will be tested. It will be tested come 5 years down the line, and we can say that, is this working or is it not working?
Can I add to that? Just to add to what Kumbi has just said, there are also regional centers that have been established. The West African Regional Center is in Ghana. I think there's one in South Africa. And that also creates a platform for the previous fellows to interact with subsequent fellows, and not only among fellows, but also like minds who want to see something happen on a particular subject matter. And during the summit also, already we have filled out surveys that request you to state which thematic areas you would like to do a project, for instance. So we're going to meet other fellows from the other universities where we'll be sharing ideas, and I'm hoping that that is also another opportunity to network across African countries. And like he said, it's going to be over some 5 years, so we hope that your dream will come true.
Sorry, can I just jump in one more time? That's just the Mandela Washington Fellows, but there's also a network of people under YALI, the Young African Leaders Initiative. So the Mandela Washington Fellows is one of those programs, which is, they say, the flagship program. But there's also within that network, they are connecting us to a much broader group of people who've participated in one way or the other in other programs that America has offered.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Myra Donnelly, and I'm the Vice President of Resource Development for Anywhere LLC. We're a global health company, and we've developed an affordable, portable, power-free sterilizer for low-resource healthcare settings. Our goal is to help make surgery more generally available across Africa. And I would like to thank Representative Bass for having this breakfast, but the YALI Fellows breakfasts are my favorite, because you young people are the hope for the future, and you are the reason why I'm doing the work I'm doing. I didn't start out in healthcare, I started out in education, but it became an opportunity available to me to switch. Now, I wish I were 30 years younger than I am, not because I would like to be young and beautiful like you, but because I've only been to 4 African countries. We need you to invite us to come to your country and meet with people who are interested in working in healthcare and building out safe surgery, sterile practice, and maternal health, all of these issues. So I am here I am, and I have 2 colleagues here. Will they please stand? And if you are interested in healthcare, will you talk to us afterwards? Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Moses Perry, and actually I'm a Ralph Bunche Fellow some 39 years ago, way back 1976. But in those days, I worked with Congressman Charles Diggs, then popularly known as Mr. Africa, and Gola Butcher, who was his consultant. But back, I'm very excited and encouraged about what I've heard, because in those days, we talked much about the importance of youth with respect to future leadership in Africa, and here the Mandela program well represents that. But my question is in another arena. I'm very fond of saying that funding is the oil that lubricates programs. So you can have the most brilliant programs ever, but unless the funding is there to back it up, whether you're talking the countries throughout Africa or the United States or anywhere, you got to have that funding. So my question, as many of you as wish to respond to it, I'm keen to know whether you are more encouraged or discouraged about being able to find funding for your program, because I know that can lead to much frustration. And the only other comment I'm going to make is that I am a businessman, entrepreneur myself, and I've long had a very strong conviction that given the extraordinary resources throughout Africa, long known, the richest continent on earth, that if somehow we can find ways to leverage the resources you have for community economic development, which is what I do. I mean, that's what I do. I leverage through business enterprises on a buy-sell basis. But tell me, what is your sense of being able to find sufficient funding? And before I leave, I'd love to get cards from each one of you. So find me and give me your cards. I'd love to have it.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Pamela?
Hey.
Pamela and then Eric.
All right, thank you very much. He has highlighted something which is quite a problem. Young people have great ideas, they have great projects, but when it comes to funding, especially in Africa, we still have a problem because we don't have much of a culture of raising funds, donations. It's not something that we really do, but we have a fellow from South Africa who has been able to raise funding in such a way she can share with us her story. Nangamso? Oh. Okay, then we can proceed.
Thank you very much for that question. I have to say I love America. This Yaleo idea is a very thoughtful. They were very thoughtful before putting this in place. It's not just about bringing us to the U.S. and training us and letting us to go like that. There is follow-up. When we go back to our countries, we'll have the possibilities of getting funding for our projects. So to answer your question, whether are we discouraged or encouraged with respect to having funding to carry out our project, I'd love to say we are very, very encouraged. Good. Because with Yali, there are so many other possibilities that follow. Apart from mentorship, we also have the possibilities of having funding to carry out our project. But now, before Yali, what are we doing to carry out our project? We young leaders, we are not just leaders because we lead people. We should have to know how to communicate, to dialogue, to lobby for people to assist us to carry out our activities. I, for one, have started an outreach medical program in my health district when I realized that the demand for healthcare services were very low, but I needed fuel to be able to carry out my activities. I had a service car. So I started this by meeting with the community leaders, explaining them the project I have and telling them the necessity of providing healthcare to their community members. And they were by me. It was not about me making the money, it was about me serving the population. So I was very okay to have small money for fuel, small money for feeding, and small money maybe to motivate my other nurses. So there is always a way. It's just that most of us are ignorant on how to go about it. And even through the media, there are so many ways to look for funding. It's just to know how to go about it that really matters. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, thank you. I also think that funding could be a problem sometimes, especially for very large projects. However, the other dimension of the funding that we should be looking at is whether we are able to choose the most cost-effective interventions for achieving a particular goal, because I see that is the problem in the sector where I work. Yes, there's some money, but how the money is being used to see how much returns we get on a particular amount of money. And I also think that one of the strategies some people have adopted over the years in their communities is to advocate for volunteerism. people usually want to get something financial when they render a service, but we also try to educate them, to motivate them to develop the habit of volunteering, to do something to contribute to your community without necessarily expecting to get something financial back. So funding, yes, is a problem for very large projects, but for smaller projects, we also adapt other strategies.
Good.
Thank you.
Very good, yeah. Thank you, yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Tunda Milinkomo for the South America Zimbabwe Service. President Obama is coming to Africa this month. What are the main issues that you'd like to see him talk about mainly during his trip?
What was that? I didn't get a question. What did you say?
What issues do you want President Obama to talk about when he visits Kenya later this month?
Or African, yeah. Well, if you guys have been following the news, there's a bit of a controversy about the Obama trip. It's to do with LGBT rights, unfortunately, and that's what I work in. So I have to toot my horn a bit and just say that human rights should be on top of President Obama's agenda when he goes to Africa. First, because we had this big summit. We had the leadership summit in the U.S. at the White House last year. And it was a good thing. It was a very good thing, it brought all kinds of trade deals, bilateral, multilateral, between the U.S. and African countries. But there was a discernible lack of discussions, bilateral discussions about trade. about governance, human rights, and rule of law. That did not feature into the conversation, and I think President Obama would be making a very good strategic decision if he went on African soil and actually talked to African leaders on a two-way basis about how to solve some of the issues to do with rule of law and governance, and also human rights. Because the perception we have right now, especially like in Africa, is that the U.S. is actually imposing its values or its beliefs. Well, I'm a lawyer. I've worked on international human rights and international legal issues, and we find that all countries actually subscribe to a system of governance, human rights, and rule of law, which is an international standard. The U.S. didn't write it down. Every country had an opportunity to bring into the fore any questions about cultural relativism or something, and they had a right not to. They had every opportunity not to join into the foray of global civilized society, and they did not. And they did, and they chose to be under this framework which is governed by certain rules. So I think that is one of the issues I would like President Obama to speak to, that leadership in Africa isn't just about prosperity and wealth and bilateral trade deals. It's also about what quality of life, after you've put money into your citizens' pocket, do you want your citizens to have? Thank you.
I only have a particular thing that I really wish that President Obama would speak about, and that is opening up of political space to allow inclusive and participatory democracy. That is all.
Thank you. Before you speak, I have a feeling Travis is coming over. Let me introduce Representative Sheila Jackson-Lee from Texas, who has joined our conversation. Would you like to come and make a couple of comments?
Good morning. Thank you so very much, and let me thank my distinguished friend, Karen Bass, who serves as a ranking member of the Africa Subcommittee, and why don't I call him my good friend, my soloist-in-chief, President Barack Obama, for the vision of this African Youth Fellowship Program that came about through the great conference that we had last year. In fact, being at that conference and seeing the Africans would come from all over the continent, I could see that Africa was not moving up, it was soaring, literally with wings. And so I am delighted to welcome the Mandela class again this year. I am delighted to say to you that I am wedded and committed and dedicated to Africa's growth and opportunity. We had a celebratory time and victory in getting through the African Growth and Opportunity Act, and I was in Africa that very first year that we began to visit a number of countries talking about economic development. I would say in 1997, might be a while back, that we call that the maiden voyage. But let me conclude on these words. It is in Africa's, the continent, and there are many countries, of course, and the United States' interests to continue our friendship, not to begin it, but to continue our friendship, and to invest in each other. We should see the nation states of Africa as equal partners, as my good friend Karen and myself have advocated in committees and meetings and in discussions about the continent. We must be real about poverty as much as we must be real about democracy. We must be real about the impact of terrorism. And you know that I cannot leave the microphone without saying that those Mandela Fellows who are young must equally be vested in technology, in the use of technology, as you are directed to democracy and the ills of the continent. When I stand here as an American, I love this country, but you can be assured that I have been vigorously engaged in the idea of a Confederate flag, a rebel flag, that is divisive and it is inappropriate, and I have spoken out against it and have demanded its removal, as have other members of Congress around the nation. And so that may not be equal to the siege of Boko Haram, but the voices of Africa must collectively, not just in the nations where they are now facing such terror, from Nigeria to Chad, to Nigeria and other places, we must collectively raise our voices when terror attacks. And we must not lightly take the fact that the Chiku girls are already gone and married off. We must continue to lift them up and indicate that we will not suffer or tolerate this vile viciousness. We will support democracy and the differences of faith that have to be recognized. I will stigmatize no faith. And that is the plight and the challenge for our Mandela leaders who have come, because read the history and recognize what Mandela could have been when he came out, which is vengeful and eager to take up arms against the fellow Afrikaners, but he did not. And we still today match him or lift him up as a father of Africa to the extent that his vision was to come and be above it and to build. Of course, we must continue to build on it economically, and there must be no discrimination, and all of that must be there. And of course, you know that we had a man by the name of Martin Luther King Jr. who had the same idea of nonviolence. So I'm grateful. I hope that I will see in the years to come some of you in leadership roles, but I hope I'll see you as fellow travelers here in the United States. I hope that I'll see some of you in our offices as we work together. But most of all, I hope that we will link arms together, because as you well know, I am just about your age. So I'll be around with you for a long time. As I go to my seat in the churches of America, when we keep talking or the pastor is talking, he keeps saying, as I go to my seat. But let me just say that I am the proud granny, a new granny. Again, I started early in life, so you have to understand that, of six-week-old twins. And my Swahili grandmama's name is Bibi. Don't call me Gran, call me Bibi. So I have adopted my original home, and I will get my twins to the motherland, to the continent, to the friendship that is here as quickly as I can, because we are one, we are united, and we will be surging together. God bless all of you. God bless this wonderful program, our mutual nations and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas. And we have another question.
Yes, good morning. I'm Barbara Simmons, Dean of International Education at Tubman University in Liberia. And what I had intended to say even before the Congresswoman spoke follows logically, and I want to acknowledge Her Excellency from Niger, who participated with us recently on a program, a panel on, it's entitled The Effective Empowerment of African Women Through STEM. So it's good to see you again. In terms of friendships, collaborations, I would like to have the panel to address both the collaborations and partnerships that can be developed within Africa among and including the many thousands who are not as fortunate as you to become, fellows. And in addition, I want to commend the idea of partnerships, collaborations, and friendships with African Americans, particularly students who attend historically black colleges and universities. At our university last March, we had architectural students from Howard, Tuskegee, and Morgan who are designing a building for us. And it's important for us to remember that it really is beneficial to all of us, because we had one architectural student who said he was about to drop out of architecture because he thought all he'd get a chance to do was to draft. And now there's a whole continent where he might have the opportunity to design. So if you could speak to the partnerships that are more inclusive of others, both on the continent and of your brothers and sisters here in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Kennedy, do you want to take that?
So we're here on the MWF, right? And it's part of YALI. So YALI has just opened regional centers. Someone spoke to that on the panel. And also, I think the U.S. State Department is really committed to having many opportunities for international exchanges. But then again, I think there's still opportunity for more. And what we've been seeing, personally, what I've been seeing is that there are very many universities in the U.S. who are willing to venture out and engage in partnerships in African countries. So that's why you have the architecture project. But more needs to be done. I really can't speak to anything other than that. The MWF is a unique fellowship, to be honest, and it's very prestigious one. But it's also like coming to learn new experiences in a foreign country, and then engaging with the U.S. government and various agencies for years to come is a unique opportunity, and I don't think very many other organizations have been able to replicate that. So I guess more needs to be done.
Yeah. I certainly agree that your universities need to connect more with our universities, and even from my experience at Howard, I've learned that, for instance, they have quite a few agreements with, for instance, the University of the Western Cape. They've sometimes sent people to UKZN. So there already is some of that, and we can obviously always do more of it. And I also think we, as we network ourselves, it's also a responsibility for us to try to get people, in one way or the other. It can be from a work perspective, from an academic perspective, to our own countries. Funny enough, I've already got a group of Americans who are coming to visit South Africa in December. Just from my interactions with them, just from getting to know them, there's another fellow group, the Rutgers fellow group. A group of them are already coming over, which will be beneficial for them, as they haven't often been to many African countries. And sometimes they don't get to learn enough about the continent in history within their own schools. And so they tend to sometimes not know, well, in this country, the situation is like this, and in this country, the situation is like that. And they have a lot of perceptions which are incorrect, which are sometimes based through the main media. Yes, I think there's a responsibility for us to extend the network as far as possible, because we're obviously a very fortunate group of people. I mean, there's 500 of us on the Mandela Washington Fellows. There is another YALI network. I do know that next year, I think America has approved for it to be extended to 1,000 Mandela Washington Fellows. I think all of that is very, very helpful in getting more people connected. I think some of the challenges is the fact that and which the regional centers will come and assist, is this fellowship is available over the internet. So I'm a person who's connected. I'm able to get onto social media. I see the adverts. I get online and I apply. Now many people now are don't have that ability. Perhaps maybe we should engage even IREX and the State Department to say, can you not create an application? Because the fastest growing thing in Africa is the fact that people are getting connected over phones. So they might not have an internet and a computer, but they certainly do have maybe a smartphone or a phone, and they can be able to connect through the fellowship there. That's where you extend it, you give more people the chance to be able to get in and to be involved and to partake in a program like this. And not only a program like this. I think that we need to welcome programs from all over the world, which ultimately, as long as they're advancing people and allowing them to take to control their own futures, then yeah.
Thank you.
Before we take the next question, Madam Ambassador Halisana Adu from Niger is going to be leaving us shortly, but before she does, I want to invite her to come up and address the fellows.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's really an honor and a privilege to be among you. This morning I get so energized to hear what all these young people from Africa have to say about their experience. In 1988, I came to the United States. Through the African American Institute, I got a fellowship as a Thomas Jefferson Fellow. I did my master's and the PhD at the University of Illinois. What I learned from America is the idea of giving back. And what I'm hearing from you is that, first of all, you know that you're special, and you know that you're brilliant, and you know that we can bend Africa in a different and more positive way. And you know that through reaching out, learning from others, like the diverse communities of knowers and doers in America, you can share also what Africa has as its best, and take what you learn and go back and give back. And so I think what you're saying is that when the seed is planted, it has to blossom. And so it has to blossom not only for your communities, not only for Africa, but like the representative just said, for the betterment of humankind. And so I would like to thank the government of the United States for really creating these opportunities for us so that we get to know ourselves in a better light, and we get to give also